Hi, I'm Kesenya and welcome to Guiding Star Astrology. I'm your Astro Weather Girl, here with this week's Astro Weather Report. I'm going to show you how the stars are going to affect your life this week. Hello, my beloved friends in YouTube land. I want to welcome you to this week's Astro Weather Report. I'm your Astro Weather Girl and I want to empower you through the tool of astrology this week. And we're looking at the energies from the 2nd to the 7th of April, the first week of April. So keep in mind as I do this reading that this is really a reading for your personal edification, for the passing energies and how they're affecting you at a personal level, not the big collective experience that we're all living through right now. That's called mundane astrology. That's something very different. What I'm speaking about today is what's going to affect you personally, how you will feel, and what you might encounter in the week ahead to prepare you for the energies that are going to unfold. Now, the best days this week, without further ado, let's dive right in. The best days this week, remember, I'm in Australia and I'm using Australian Eastern Standard Time to make these determinations. If you are anywhere else in the world, you might like to look at the translating time or the time for your part of the world compared to what I'm talking about for Australian Eastern Standard Time. And if you're in the west coast of the US, then you can pretty much interpret this as being practically a day behind what I'm saying. So before I get into the best days, we need to be conscious of the void of course moon and avoid instigating anything under its energy. If we take action during a void of course moon, we tend to see nothing result from those endeavors. So a good principle is to perhaps look at the moon and where it is located. If it's in the early degrees of a sign, you know you're pretty safe. You know it's less likely to be a void of course moon if the moon is in the early degrees of a sign. That's one way you can do it. You could use an app like iLunar, and there are stacks of apps on the App Store if you want to check out other mechanisms for assessing if you're in a void of course moon phase where you are in the world. So the best days this week, the 6th and 7th of April are key. These are excellent energies for doing physical things, physical labor, sports, moving the body, getting fit, these sorts of things. It's a really good time to start new things actually that are supported by the divine under this energy. And if there are challenges and competition in your life right now, this is a great time, a great energy for being able to deal with those things, to overcome those things, and to feel a sense of empowerment in your life, to channel your inner Superman or your inner Wonder Woman. Great energy for that. Handling machinery, working with engines, or if you're dealing with any dealings with builders, engineers, real estate agents, military professionals, this is a couple of days that are favored for dealing with people in those occupations. A good time for actually just taking action and instigating new things. The moon is also this week going to be out of bounds on the 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th. So during those best days, the moon is also going to be out of bounds, giving results to your endeavors that are significantly greater than what we would consider to be a normal result. So on those, the 6th and 7th, that can indicate, highly beneficial results from the actions that you undertake regarding the things I've just spoken about. Or on the 8th and 9th, it could just mean something more extreme happens in your life. Not as a result of your actions, but just simply as things play out. An out-of-bounds moon brings unexpected events, significant events. If you're born under an out-of-bounds moon, it can often mean that you're destined for some type of fame or notoriety. What your fame or notoriety might be for, that is the question. Are you going to be famous for being the next Mick Jagger, or are you going to be famous for being a serial killer? That is sort of perhaps it's determinable by your chart, but more likely it's determinable by your energetic vibration. Are you vibrating at a high level or a low level? But the moon being out of bounds does bring these big scale results. So if you want to do a bit of mundane astrology, look out in the world and see what events transpire on these days Are they extreme, more so than usual? Because it will usually be a result of the moon moving beyond the declination degrees of the sun. This happens quite frequently. It's not an unusual thing. So, one of the reasons we may not notice it so much is because it does happen fairly regularly. But you might want to check it out and see and observe what is going on in the world, what's going on in your life, and do you notice the energetic difference? Astrological research is so fascinating. So they're the best days this week and how to make use of the energies. The energy focuses this week, and I'm not going to list them all. I'm going to list some of them. If you want access to all the energy focuses that are happening this week, that are in play, then I suggest perhaps following along with my Instagram. You can use my Facebook page too. I do tend to post more on my Instagram than my Facebook page. You get daily updates there regarding the energies as they unfold each day, what you can expect. So the first thing that I am super excited about is what is occurring between April 3rd to April 5th. This is again Australian time. And here we have in the chart an example of what is occurring. We've got the sun exalted in Aries at the moment. And on these 2 days, 2 to 3 days, we've got the moon exalted in Taurus. This happens once a year, and in some circles of astrology it's known as the luckiest period of the year when the sun and the moon are in their exaltation together. Once the moon continues around the horoscope, by the time she gets back into her exaltation again in a month's time, the sun has already then moved into Taurus and is no longer in an exalted state. So we only get this window once a year of the two luminaries being in their exaltation at the same time. So this is a shining ray of hope for all of us, actually. It's an energy of empowerment, of feeling optimistic, of feeling blessed in life. These opportunities are increased for us. And this is especially true on the 5th of April, because on the 5th of April is when the moon is going to be void, of course, but it's going to be in the degrees beyond the placement of the north node of the moon. That's going to be very important. And we've heard a lot about this from various astrologers. This is currently we're in this phase of the year when all the planets are falling in a singular sphere one side of the nodes. So here are all the planets here. And when the moon moves beyond the north node, then suddenly we have a bit of a balancing effect when the moon is beyond that wedge of the cake, so to speak. We've got a planet that is now out here in the other hemisphere that's empty. So we are taking that Kalsap yoga and balancing it to something else. So that will be felt as perhaps a stronger manifestation opportunity, or if not a manifestation opportunity because the moon still will be void, of course, it will be felt as perhaps a little bit more blessed, a little bit more lucky, a little bit more opportunistic. So it doesn't necessarily mean take action during the 5th, because the moon will be void, of course, obviously, but it does mean that you're going to be able to perhaps have a few more opportunities rise up in your life. One good thing, though, is that when the moon is in this state, in the final degrees, just beyond the north node, in the final degrees of Taurus, we're going to have Venus moving up here to the end of Aquarius. And what that is going to mean is that the final aspect the moon will be casting before she leaves Taurus is going to be at the latter degrees of Aquarius to Venus. So the moon is going to be in a non-void, of course, state right up until about the 29th degree of Taurus. So we've got, if you really want to get finicky, if you've got an calculator like Solar Fire or something like that, you can work out, okay, between this hour and this hour, I could undertake some endeavor when the moon is luckiest and when this blessing is amplified and the moon is not yet void, of course. I've got this window to work with. But it's different for everybody wherever you are in the world. So do check out, when I say that, you want to check out what hours this is going to be occurring for you in your part of the world. And if I was to sit here and go through every time zone we would not get around to talking about the prediction for your sign. So I can't do that for everybody, but I would suggest accessing some astrology software to work out what's that window that you've got that's available for opportunistic events to manifest for you, or for you to take action towards achieving something materially. I hope that makes sense. It's kind of like heading to a more advanced astrology, if you like, or more intermediate astrology, not sort of the simple basic stuff that I usually present in my astro weather forecasts. But it is an exciting day because we have the luminaries exalted, and therefore things are luckier, more upbeat, more blessed, and goodness, we could all use a bit of that at the moment. So observe what you feel around these days, observe what you're thankful for, cultivate this attitude of gratitude, and give thanks for what is good in your life under this energy. Then on the 3rd of April, so during this time when the moon is in Taurus and the sun is in Aries, we've got a conjunction of Mercury and the sun. And so that is a Kesenya aspect. Often the Mercury is within proximity of the sun, combust, meaning it's not giving its energy as powerfully as it could when when Mercury is far away from the sun. And so sometimes we see a percentage of people on Earth who aren't good at perhaps using their logic, and that sort of thing, because of a combust Mercury, and they have to work harder at that or develop their learning skills, with more effort. Whenever a planet is combust with the sun, it's sacrificing something to the sun. So something mercurial is sacrificed to the sun in order for us to have a sense of identity and a sense of confidence, something in which is sun qualities, obviously, to create our kingdom. Something mercurial may be being sacrificed in our life when we have a combust Mercury. But in this case, on April the 3rd, Mercury is going to be Kesenya. It's going to be at the exact degree and minute of the sun. And this is when Mercury comes before the king, presents its mercurial requests to the king of the solar system. So it is a powerful day. Mercury energy is amplified. Our logic, our mind, our thinking processes, our communications, our words, our writing, our speaking is amplified beneficially for us. Buying, selling, trade, is amplified for us under this influence. So again, very, very beneficial if you deal in mercurial things, advertising, marketing, commerce, communications, any of those sorts of things, using your hands, comedy, lots of things are ruled by Mercury. And that is where you can get some benefit in life when Mercury becomes Kesenya on the 5th. On the 3rd. On April the 5th, we have a conjunction of Mars and Saturn out here. That's going to be pretty hefty. That's quite a difficult energy. A very heavy energy to be dealing with at this time in the world. So keep love and compassion and kindness at the forefront of your mind. This is a transit of anger and vengeance and explosion. Fortunately, we've still got this in play, the beneficial luminaries, but this Mars conjunct Saturn, it can be destructive due to extreme outbursts or even just accidents that result from frustration in your life. You come home, you're so angry, you kick the cat, but it turns out that, and you should never do that, by the way, but it's an expression, and you turn out you stub your toe. You end up feeling worse because you've done that and guilty for kicking the cat. Don't be surprised to see the outworkings in and around you, in the community, in the environment, in the world at large, of nastiness, of threats, of violent action and danger. Please be extra careful on the 5th because of this influence. We can work to channel the highest energies of this combination, and that might see us patiently creating new structures in life. Saturn is to be patient and to structure things. Mars is newness and starting afresh, coming up with a brand new idea, fresh starts. Now, it's going to be another roughly 2 years before we have this connection again. Unfortunately, it's happening in a very volatile period of our world history. So, yeah, please be careful out there in the world. But it's going to be 2 years before we have this conjunction. So what is happening in the highest channeling of this energy is we're getting a chance to create an action plan for the next 2 years in our life. Actions that might raise our profile, raise our image, create new mastery for us in a certain area of life. So use this energy to plan what actions you're going to take over the next 2 years of your life to achieve an outcome that's going to raise your reputation and your profile, which are Saturn-ruled things. Mars is action, Saturn rules your reputation, your profile, your mastery, your maturity in the world. So use this time, this energy, with this auspicious moon and sun, to plan for the future, to plan for the next 2 years. Okay, by 2 years' time, I want to have taken this action, and this action that's going to see me in this circumstance in life. It's a really good energy for that. Think about who you want to be in 2 years' time, and then start taking the initiative towards that goal, beginning under this energy. And if you do that, you'll be channeling the best outcome of this energy. Saturn is long term, and Mars is to put effort in and sort of put your energy into something. So it's about a long-term marathon, 2-year effort towards a certain goal that you might have. Use it for your advantage and try and avoid all the pitfalls of this difficult energy. On April the 6th, Venus, as I alluded to earlier, is going to change signs and move into Pisces. She's going to be exalted. This is a wonderful, dreamy time for all things Venus. What might this mean? Well, our appreciation of the finer things in life is increased. Our love for art, our love for poetry, our love for glamour, they're taken to a new enjoyable height. So we might be inspired to join an art class or a dance class, or, it's a great energy to immerse yourself in beauty for the next 3 or so weeks while Venus moves through her exaltation, her exalted sign. We are also probably looking for unconditional love in our life right now, and embracing perhaps a romanticized view of the world at large. Forgiveness of others is one of the strengths of this placement. So seek to resolve old wounds, old hurts, let go and be free. This is a tremendous energy for supporting those kinds of actions. Venus is also speeding up now, so that's going to see whatever Venus rules in your chart start to gather momentum, start to manifest faster after having had the go-slows for the last couple of months since she was retrograding. So good to see that happening as well. And finally, on April the 6th as well, there's just so much happening this week. On April the 6th, Mars is going to be move just a little bit beyond Saturn by this time, going to be making a square aspect to the nodes of the moon. This is what is known as a skipped step in natal astrology, if you have this, but we're looking at the transiting effect. So look out, dear friends, coming on the heels of Mars conjunct Saturn. This is a very difficult time for humanity when Mars is squaring the nodes. This combo can bring up fresh feelings of rage, resentfulness, things like that can be exacerbated, or an exacerbated sense of powerlessness. When we feel powerless, we can lash out, and this is an energy for that. So this can result in violence or verbal abuse because we are frustrated with our powerlessness. I'm already feeling this, I'm very strongly in this energy of we have no say, doesn't matter who we vote for, we seem to always get the same old tosses, making poor decisions that are ruining our lives. And that applies to every country in the world. And it's this sense of, why do I even bother? Why should I even try? It's just constant frustration. And I'm already feeling this. We haven't even hit this energy yet. So do be careful. This week is going to be full of that. And this Mars square to the nodes is going to exacerbate that too. So with this energy, we're being called to embrace our power in healthy ways now, to tap into our courage and realizing that it's quite okay to be angry. Don't beat yourself up for feeling frustrated, for feeling angry. Observe that feeling, let it be there. It's probably highly justified in many cases. It's a time again for being a warrior and a superhero for a worthy cause. And this includes causes connected to our own personal lives as well as that of the world at large. So, honor the self, take time for physicality, get that frustrated energy out of the body by going for a run or a bike ride or a swim or something like that. Ways that make you feel good. Maybe it's dancing, whatever. Use physical action to sort of alleviate that high, tense level of frustration that this will bring. Take action for a worthy cause in your life. Or if you're, very humanitarianly focused, take action for a world cause that is, triggering you at the moment. Use this energy for good. Tap into your courage and your warrior spirit. And let's all pray for one another this week. It is, in many ways, it's one of the most volatile weeks this year. So be careful, be forewarned, forearmed, and let us meditate on the higher vibration of these energies as I've spoken about, and embrace an energy of love where possible. If you want to know about the energies as they're unfolding each day this week, then jump on my Instagram page and you'll get all the lowdown. A bit of housekeeping before we go into the All Signs breakdown too. Join my Royal Stars Academy if you want to learn astrology with me. We're going through the foundational elements at the moment. You can join anytime, there's no sort of time frame for it. If you are keen on becoming a certified astrologer, this is a great course to undertake, the 4-year-long certification course that will see you registered internationally. Not only that, if you want to join that, the link's in the description below. But I'd also encourage everybody, if you would like to join my mailing list, please do so. There's a link to my mailing email address in the description below. What I'm trying to do is gather postal addresses. So you can join my email mailing list, that's fine, but I really want to get some postal, and a lot of people have signed up. Thank you to everybody who has. Some postal addresses so that I can keep in touch with you should the oligarchy or the elites, or whatever you like to call them, decide that they're going to crash the World Wide Web for a time this year, just to send us into more chaos and stress and frustration, etc. I want to keep in touch with you. I want to send out my mailing, postal mailing information, and this will only be activated if just get my head together. This will only be activated if the system is crashed by the elites. I'm not keeping your mailing information for anything other than that, and it will certainly not be put into action if the internet doesn't collapse. So just to be prepared for any eventuality and to keep my astrology forecasts coming your way, then please check out the link to join my postal mailing database, if you like, in case of that eventuality. Now, I don't want to focus on the difficult things this week. We've got enough of that going on in the news and what have you. So I'm going to focus on one energy this week that's actually more positive. There are a couple of things, as I've already alluded to, that are playing out that are actually really good things that we might be experiencing in our personal life. The sun in its exaltation, the moon in its exaltation is another. We also have Venus moving into Pisces, which is another. But today I want to focus on Mercury making a conjunction here with the sun. Cazimi with the sun. Mercury coming before the king of the solar system to present his requests to the king. What is this going to mean for each sign? Now let's start with Aries. Well, this is the house of survival and the main reason for our incarnation, so it's going to influence you very personally. You'll feel this probably most strongly today, Aries people. And sorry, I should point out that this is happening on the 3rd of April that this is occurring. So this is where you're going to go before the sun and present your request to do with first house issues. That's where you'll notice the response. That's where you'll notice the effect. I mean, if you were to go before the king of the solar system and talk about your partner or talk about your career perhaps, it's not going to be quite as effective for you as talking about the matters relating to you personally and your body and your physical journey, which is first house related things. So this is why this is quite a special energy. because the Mercury conjunction with the Sun does not always occur in Aries. So now's your chance to focus on first house things to do with you, Aries, and present them to the Sun. So if you want to initiate something new, present that. When I say present towards the Sun, pray about it, give it over to the divine, and maybe make fresh starts, instigate new things, initiate new things when that have to do with Mercury under this energy. It might be a website, it might be sending out an email, it might be developing a mailing list, it could be doing some sort of advertising or marketing. Initiating some new project in those fields is a great thing to do with Mercury conjunct the Sun in your first house on this day. They're Mercury things that you can initiate personally, you. You also might be, really compelled, Aries, to speak up for something this day, to share your knowledge, to share your words, to share your insights or your learning or your skills in some way with people. There can be physical effects too. Mercury rules the hands, so you might notice that you're using your hands more to talk, like I'm talking now, or that you are using your hands more on this day for beneficial purposes, creating something, writing something, taking notes on something, using your hands, maybe doing some stuff to, I don't know, maybe you're a hairdresser, you're using your hands more or something like that. Practically using your hands might be increased under this energy, and you can get good results from using your hands on this day. The energy of the first house is also the first impressions that we give, so you might be giving off an impression of somebody who's very good with words on this day. Somebody who can speak well, somebody who can communicate clearly might be the impression that you're giving off. You might be giving the impression of someone who's good with their hands or who uses their hands a lot in their communications. So the first impressions that we give are connected to an amplified energy of Mercury in conjunction with the Sun. Okay. Pisces people, we're seeing, I'm going to go around the horoscope in the right direction today. We're seeing for Taurus people, the energy of Kesenya Mercury being taking effect in the 12th house. This is on the 3rd of April. So this is a house that can be difficult to get a grasp on, sometimes where things feel out of control, but it is it's probably the easiest, let's say, of all the malefic houses. So I actually don't see in our modern age that the 12th house is as detrimental as the other two malefic houses. So having a Kesenya, Taurus, a Kesenya Mercury in the 12th house might see an amplification of communication from the divine to you, where divine beings, ancestors, dreams come through to you clearly. The messages from the spirit world are coming through very powerfully for you under this day. A day for channeling, a day for visions, a day for intuitive insights. You could also get some forebodings, some signs and some omens rocking up in your life under this energy. So pay attention, Taurus people, to what's unfolding, and don't discount anything that's captivating in that sense on this particular day, the 3rd of April. This is a moksha house. It's a liberation house, a house of letting something go. So it could be some old way of thinking with Mercury Kesenya, and it's a healthy, freeing thing to let go of an old thought process. It could be letting go of an old, practically speaking, it could be letting go of an old advertising campaign that you were running, or an old trade agreement that you had, some old buying and selling contract. You might be sort of beneficially letting go of that under this influence too. This is a house of escapism and imagination, daydreams, fantasies. So you might be escaping into something, some words, a novel, a book. You might be escaping into some sort of presentation, like a YouTube talk, or and so on. It's not so much an energy for film. Mercury is not so much connected to film, but it is connected to communication systems like internet, YouTube, escaping into sort of an email correspondence or a conversation online through Instagram with a friend or something like that. So this is very much an energy for escaping through communication and through reading or writing, you know, good day for channel writing if you're into that sort of thing as well. A good day for praying, because praying is to communicate with the divine. So I've said you can get messages from the divine. You can also be giving your thoughts, your ideas, your longings to the divine, praying and giving it over, and your voice can be heard now, Taurus. So it's a powerful day for you in that sense. Gemini rising, sun or moon people. The energy of Mercury in a Kesenya with the sun is impacting on the 3rd of April, your 11th house. So this is the house of where you can be profitable and gainful. And so you actually have an empowered energy here, Gemini, to present your requests to the divine, if you like, for your dreams, your goals and ambitions, and growing your profitability, growing your gainfulness. And it's likely to be connected to Mercury things. So, you can gain and you can profit and you can develop goals and dreams around maybe developing an advertising campaign or a promotional endeavor, because Mercury has to do with that form of communication. Maybe you have a goal or a dream that's related to writing a book, or developing a course or a class of some sort, which are Mercury ruled things as well. Hosting workshops. You can present your requests to the divine and you can profit and gain from action that you undertake towards those ends now. Mercury also rules things like journal articles. Maybe you could gain or profit from sort of a journal article. Mercury is buying and selling. It's trade. So you could profit and gain from buying or selling something on this day. You know, if you have some furniture, you want to get rid of it, whack it on a, Facebook buy, swap and sell or something, you could actually be quite gainful from buying and selling and trading, even if it's not your usual mechanism for making an income. This is a house of complicated systems, and of course a complicated system we're all very familiar with is the internet. And so you could certainly develop something to do with the internet on this day that could be very beneficial in the long term for you. Something perhaps a bit like, a website or a new social media page or a conversation group that you start up online on the internet, being a system. Groups, being involved with groups is good, particularly groups with this energy that have to do with workshopping and learning new skills. So with Mercury here, if you have a chance to learn something practically and develop new skill sets in a group situation, take it. It's going to be super beneficial for you and super empowering for your life. This is also a house where we can effectively network, and Mercury is friendships and connections. So get out there. Don't hide away in your house on this day, as I am wont to do most of the time. Get out there and meet people, interact, pass your business card around. This is an empowered energy for Mercury related things right now. And so, network, share information, share about who you are with groups, with people at large, particularly large groups of people. It's also beneficial to join clubs under this influence for that purpose of networking and connecting as well. It's just a house of friendship. So do make sure you communicate with your friends, you interact with your friends. I mean, do we need reminding to do that? Probably not. But this is a beautiful day for being benefited by our friendships. And if you're struggling with friendships, then perhaps present your requests to the divine for assistance and help and support with your friendships and your friendship circles under this influence, because Mercury means that our requests are heard by the gods under this influence. Speak your requests, write it down, pray it, whatever works for you if it's pertaining to your friendships. You can also do this with your dreams and goals and ambitions too. Present them to the divine under this energy, Mercury Kesenya, and you may just see blessing and support coming from on high, let's say. And this is particularly potent for you, I might add as well, Gemini, because Mercury is the ruler of your sign, Gemini. So extra potent, extra powerful for you because of that. Cancer rising, sun or moon people, Mercury Kesenya is falling in your 10th house. So this is a powerful angular house. And when we have events occurring in our angular houses, we tend to feel it more. We tend to notice it more. So this is the house of our example to others. It's the house of leadership. This is a chance to present your requests to the divine for leadership opportunities. If you want a chance to speak, if you want a chance to write for a journal or a magazine, if you want a chance to produce some sort of, a workshop or a class as a part of your career aspirations, to be in a leadership position of that nature, this is a chance to take action on that and also to request it from on high, because the sun is the king of the solar system. And when a planet is Cazimi, we get the chance to present our request concerning that planet and the house that it occurs in to the divine. So ask for support with all your leadership aspirations under this energy, particularly if your leadership aspirations pertain to writing, speaking, communicating, teaching, learning, sharing knowledge, interacting with other people in workshops kind of environments, using your hands for your certain skill sets. If your aspirations relate to those mercurial things, then all the more chance that they will flourish under this energy. This is a house also of our responsibilities and our social obligations. So if you have a responsibility to a mercurial person in your life, let's say a sibling, a neighbor, a relative perhaps, then present your request to the divine regarding that and you will be heard under this energy. So our responsibilities are seen from the 10th house. You have a responsibility perhaps to these people, and this is a chance to get support from the heavens. This is also the house of our legacy. So if you would like to instigate some sort of legacy that has to do with mercurial things, this is the day for it. That might be, you might decide you want to write your biography, or you might want to lead some sort of small business to a family member or something as a legacy. Then you can make plans for that on this day. If you want to create a legacy, then you can. Mercury is to create sort of not so much structures. The 10th house is a house of structures, and Mercury is to write. So you can plan. You can write and plan the structure for the legacy that you're going to leave. It might be I aspire to leave an album of music for my children and my children's children, sharing my singing and my songwriting with my forebears. My future descendants is the word that I'm trying to look for there. So you can plan on this day, okay, I want to leave this legacy, music that's got nothing to do with Mercury, nothing to do with the sun, but that's your aspiration, that's your legacy. What you can do is join together the planning side of Mercury with the 10th house structuring and leaving a legacy and create a plan. Okay, by this date, I am going to have all the songs for this album written. By this date, I'm going to have all the musicians organized and, the recording session booked. By this date, I'm going to do, see what I'm saying? There's a supportive empowerment to structure and plan and organize your aspirations for a legacy that you wish to leave in the world under this influence. So, Cancer to Leo rising sun or moon people, we are seeing the influence of Mercury in a Cazimi position with the sun falling in your 9th house. This is the house of communication with the gods. So a powerful day for prayer for Leo people. What you pray for, 3rd of April this is, what you pray for under this energy will be heard by the divine. Because this is the house of communication with the divine, and you've got Mercury to speak. You speak your prayers, write your prayers down. Mercury, writing, speaking, before the sun god, the king of the solar system that we all circle around, all the planets circle around. So there is this coming before the king opportunity to present our requests verbally to the divine and be heard by the gods. What are your aspirations? What are you hunting for in terms of meaning and purpose for life? Present that to the gods under this influence. This is the house of our purpose and mission. What gives our life meaning? What's going to give your life more meaning? what's going to give your life the capacity to fulfill. What do you need to fulfill your mission on this earth? What do you need to fulfill your purpose on this earth? Present that request to the divine. It is supported. That message to the divine is received by the divine on this day, and the divine wants to support us, to rush in, to help. So it could be that the results of this day, for those of us who are Leo, rising, sun or moon, who enlist this divine energy for help, might see their future visions and goals manifest, might see truth be revealed, freedom, liberation become manifest in our lives because of this very simple but very powerful energy that we can enact. This is the house of morals. This is the house of ethics. This is the house of our good deeds. So if you undertake action that has to do, because the sun is an action planet, Aries is an action sign. If you undertake moral action, ethical action, if you undertake good deeds on this day, the 3rd of April, you can be rewarded for such under this energy too. It's the 5th house from the 5th, so it represents good karma. So I would suggest writing a letter. It could be an email, it could be a card, it could be, just writing something down. Mercury is to write some sort of blessing. Write a blessing to somebody else, and bless somebody else's lives, as many people's lives as you can under this influence, because it will generate and create good karma for you in the long term. I mean, we don't always do something in order to get something in return, but this energy is so beautiful. Why not utilize it to bless others and bless yourself at the same time? This is the realm of the chart that has to do with eureka moments, finding your truth, deep understandings. And Mercury, being a planet of the mind and the logic, can give you these light bulb moments when he's cazimi with the sun. You might get some sudden insight, some intuition, some sudden knowing. Trust your gut. Trust what, that goosebump moment that comes through that to you under this energy, because it will not let you down. You can trust it on the 3rd of April. So Virgo, rising, sun or moon, the energy of Mercury cazimi is falling for you in the 8th house. This is the house of the mystical, the magical. It's the house of other people's resources, the house of hidden money, taxes, big investments, big business is seen from the 8th house. And Mercury is a planet of buying and selling and trading. And when Mercury is empowered by being cazimi with the sun, then it's a day when you can maybe have a breakthrough with your taxes, Virgo. Maybe get inspiration for undertaking some sort of big investment or getting involved in some sort of big business endeavor. So if you are in a position where that sort of thing could occur in your life, give it some attention under this energy and utilize this beneficial cazimi on the 3rd of April of Mercury for investments, Mercury for trading and selling and buying, especially if you're someone who's dealing with other people's money. If you're an accountant or what have you, you might get some sudden insights into how to get, a big tax break for your clients with this energy. It's if you need your tax done by an accountant, this is the day for it. Go for it. Go visit your accountant on this day and sort out your taxes. It's a fabulous energy for getting things straight in that regard. Now, this is also a placement, as I said, that is mystical and magical. So you might be getting some sudden downloads and insights from other realms that around mysticism, So it's not suddenly you discover your truth and you suddenly get an insight regarding a strategy to take for your future goals and ambitions. They're seen from other houses, but more some insight or wisdom around a hidden mystery or a secret or an ancient an ancient source of mystical knowledge might suddenly be revealed to you under this energy. Mercury is the mind in the 8th house of hidden mysteries and anything that is magical and mystical. So it's a good day with that in mind to perhaps do some reading and some researching. You might like to research ancient stone circles, stone henges, and you might find out something new and exciting and wonderful if you're into that sort of thing. I'm just talking hidden mysteries here of ancient cultures in this instance, but there are other hidden mysteries you might wish to research because you will probably have some aha moment from doing so. This 8th house is also the house of fast changes, shocking events, and dramatic turns around. But with a Cazimi Mercury here, it could represent for you, Virgo, something beneficial that happens quickly and gives you a fast turnaround, getting out of a rut, perhaps. Maybe with mercurial things, maybe you've been having difficulties with your email or difficulties with your website or frustrations that may have been present with a small business. Mercury is all those things. And then suddenly something happens, something shocking, something fast that occurs that gets you out of that difficulty with your small business, with your website, with whatever mercurial things, because Mercury is before the sun in the house of fast 180-degree turns around. You could get out of a crisis with Mercury things on this particular day, the 3rd of April. It is a house of renewal and rebirth. So if you do need to relaunch a website or birth perhaps an email mailing list or maybe birth a new social media page or something like that, this is a good energy to do that under because it's about being reborn, and it's a beautiful energy for Mercury related things to be reborn. It's a house of what we receive from other people in terms of, yes, finances and material goods, but also moral support, inheritances, payouts and windfalls. For some Virgo people, because Mercury rules your sign, you might find that you get a bit lucky under this influence. Mercury, your ruler, is Cazimi in the house of windfalls, moral support, finances, and things that come from unearned means. You could get lucky on this day. Also, Mercury rules your 10th house, so you could get lucky in relation to career things as well. Career opportunities might present themselves suddenly, unexpectedly, which is very much the nature of the 8th house. So don't be surprised if something surprising happens to you that feels like good luck or good fortune. This is not the house of good luck, but when you've got your ruler sort of in an exalted, get my words out, position with the sun in the 8th house of sudden change. In this case, we're looking at sudden change for a beneficial reason. Then expect that something wonderful could happen. So, thank you very much, Virgo. Looking at our Libra friends now, Libra rising, sun or moon people. Well, we've got the energy of Mercury Cazimi falling in your 7th house of relationships. This is the opposite house of you, Libra. This is about everything else for other people. Life for other people is seen here. Your clients, your business partners, your marriage partners, your audience, 7th house people. Everyone else, everything away from you, or every other person away from you. So when we've got an exalted or a Cazimi rather, Mercury, which is a very advantageous position, it is beneficial for equalizing partnerships and creating benefit in your relationships. So you could benefit very strongly from someone on this day. It might be your marriage partner. It might be your business partner. It could be your advertising marketing agency. It could be, other people. It could be your lawyer who is benefiting you in some way. So somebody else is going to be very supportive and impactful and helpful for you this day. And I would suggest that with Mercury creating this Cazimi energy, the benefit may come in the form of a contract or some sort of written documentation. The 7th house is contracts. Mercury is to write. So, it could come in the form of maybe an opportunity to host write an article, perhaps for a journal, because Mercury is to write. It could come in the form of some sort of buying and selling and trading that somebody else presents to you. So what is going on here is you're not, let's say you want to write an article for a journal. You're not going to the journal saying, here's my article. The journal's coming to you and saying, we want your article. Other people are benefiting you through Mercury things is the crux of this combination. They're coming to you saying, we want an article for our journal from you. Can you contribute? They're coming to you saying, can you contribute to our newsletter? Other people are coming to you saying, I've got this contract for a business deal. What do you think? Do you want to be part of this? Those sorts of very mercurial energies. Somebody might approach you and say, hey, I want to host a workshop with you. Would you be interested? Mercury is to share information, to teach, to write, to speak. You might get requested to be part of some sort of speaking engagement under this energy. And if that happens, take it. This is a very auspicious energy that can really propel you forward in the future. Mercury also is the ruler of your 9th house of blessing. So it is for you Libran people a very blessed combination that's coming to you from other people on the 3rd of April. Also, good chance to talk with your personal relationship partners under this energy. If you've got things that need discussing, if you've got things that need to be worked out or resolved, something that you need to share with your partner, this is a great energy for undertaking that. Maybe there's been something heavy weighing on your mind, Libra, and you've been sort of keeping it to yourself, wondering how you should approach a conversation, a serious conversation with a partner. This is the energy that's got your back. Mercury, House of Blessing ruler, in a conjunction with the sun, presenting our requests to the gods, but in this case, in the house of other people, our significant other, do it under this energy. It will be supported by the divine. Okay, Scorpio rising, sun or moon people. The energy, excuse me, of Mercury cazimi with the sun is falling, in this case, in the 6th house for you. Well, this is the house of victim mentality. It's kind of the house that can take us away from God the most, through poor me, it's not fair, life is hard, etc. Because, well, look, life is hard, but our thoughts create our reality, you know. Everybody struggles. Some people struggle with a smile on their face. Some people struggle with a grizzle and a grunt and a groan. So Mercury here is how we think about our difficult life circumstances. You have the chance today, Scorpio, to renew your thinking with the challenges of life. Mercury is before the sun. This is an empowered position for Mercury and the thought processes that affect our life, because how we think is how we live. So change your thought processes on this day. Do the work to, if you need to adjust a thinking process, if you need to alter that, then do the work on this day. Create affirmations, pin them up all around the house to change your thinking from victim mentality to victorious mentality. Okay, it's also a house of hard work, the 6th house, and Mercury is the hands. So you might be working more with your hands on this day, and you can benefit from doing that. Get out in the garden, dig in with the tools, or, maybe cut your children's hair or something like that if you cut their own hair for them or whatever. Do things with your hands. They'll be blessed. The results will be good from that effort and your work with your hands on this day. 3rd of April. You may also like to write some sort of, I would suggest in this position, writing maybe a journal article or a social media post or something that speaks to disadvantage. Could be it could go great guns for you. Maybe you do a post about how the Syrians have been neglected in the world by the world's media in favor of other war-torn nations, and that we're not giving our attention and prayers and funding and love and support to our Syrian brothers and sisters. You could, that's a very much a 6th house energy. Syrian people have been so disadvantaged. Don't let me jump on my bandwagon here. And they're living through war, which is very connected to the 6th house. So you could do a mercurial post or write an article that you put on a blog or share online or do something with. You could use your writing, Mercury is to write, to speak, to communicate, your writing abilities to highlight some sort of disadvantage in the world, and it could pay off like nothing else for you. You know, it could be a post that goes viral, or an article that's seen by the right people that takes you into a position that is more beneficial for you. Maybe you get a staff job on a magazine because of this article, you know, because this is the house of disadvantage, but you've got an empowered Mercury Kesenya with the sun on this day. Use it to help heal the world, to fix and resolve things in the world through your writing, your speaking, your communications. Use it, and it could very much benefit you in a karmic way. This is a tremendously karmic house. This is the house of burning karma. So you may actually be burning karma for your future by taking action on this day, verbally, written, communicatively, to address some form of disadvantage in the world. And I've just given you one example as we've gone along here. This is also the house of our digestive system. You can take action on this day, or maybe you might read something, because Mercury is to read, that empowers you with regard to taking care of your body, taking care of your digestive system. You know, you might read some article about cutting out gluten and why that's good for you, or that kind of thing. So pay attention to what you read on this day. It could be very empowering for you with your health, but not only health, it could be empowering for you financially. It could be empowering for you, in terms of education-wise, because this is the house of alleviating, in its highest manifestation, alleviating disadvantage. So, to be more educated and to have more knowledge, Mercury is to gather information. To have that is to decrease disadvantage through not knowing. So, pay attention to what you read. It's probably got a message from the divine for you on this day. It's also the house of pets. So, you might be thinking a lot about your pets, or addressing issues and problems that your pets have, and you can get good results by taking practical steps to help your pets with, I don't know, maybe they've got fleas or something like that, and you can take action regarding that. It's also a house of conflict, and I don't condone harsh words ever. This is not a combination necessarily for harsh words, but it is a blessed combination that can help you to verbally deal with, or communicatively deal with, your enemies, people you're in conflict with, to silence them through some intelligent retort or an email that lays it on the line. So if you're in a conflict situation, or if you're dealing with an enemy who's making your life difficult, this is an empowered energy for managing it and fixing it on this day through maybe some written letter, or some spoken word. Maybe it's a day for just getting your Aries warrior on and saying to someone who's been making your life miserable, cut it out, that's enough. If you don't stop it, I'm going to go to the authorities about your behavior. That's one example, but it's for using our words to empower you in a conflict situation. So, all conflict situations have different circumstances, obviously, and you might know how to best approach that, given what I've just discussed. But it can be a very empowered day for finalizing conflict situations through words, through contracts, through speaking and writing. Sagittarius rising sun or moon people, well, we are seeing the energy of Mercury Kesenya falling in the 5th house of love and romance here. This is the house of good karma from past lives. So when Mercury is in this very exalted type of position in a Kesenya combination with the sun, it's where you can be receiving benefit from, like blessing coming through from your past lives in terms of maybe your Mercury's contracts and trade deals and what have you. And these could be coming through now as a benefit, as a gift from past lives that is for your benefit. So pay attention to what opportunities and deals and trades and buying and selling opportunities, which are Mercury things that come your way on this day. They could be a reward, a karmic reward in your life. It's hard to know if that's the case, like how do I prove that this is a karmic reward? But this is the ancient wisdom concerning the fifth house energy. It's a house of joy and exhilaration, excitement and happiness. It's the house of the fire of God. And so Mercury might be the mechanism for bringing you joy on this day, bringing you to a sense of happiness and delight. How might that express? It could be that you read a fabulous book. Mercury is to read, and it just leaves you in a state of buzzing exuberance for the rest of the day. It could be that, maybe you discover a new hobby that requires the use of your hands. Mercury is your hands, and that just for the next umpteen dozen years is your source of joy. You could discover a hobby that brings you joy for many, many years to come under this influence. But when I'm talking hobbies, I'm talking something that requires the use of your hands, woodworking, metalworking, hairdressing, painting, sculpting, things that we practically use our hands for. Mercury is connected to those things. So yes, joy can be found through mercurial things that relate here on this day. It's a house of games and having fun and playfulness, dressing up, having a good time, parties. And so Mercury, which is quite a social planet, can have a great deal of blessing can bring a great deal of blessing your way through this cazimi conjunction with the sun. And let's remember also the sun is in its one of its most powerful, joyful positions in the fifth house. It rules the fifth house. It has a natural affiliation, I should say, with the fifth house rather than a rulership. But fun, joy, games, parties, they're going to be a source of blessing for you. So, blow off the dust off your game of Boulder Dash, get it out and play a game of whatever feels like fun to you, particularly word games, with the family. You'll be uplifted by this. It will bring you to a greater state of joy and blessing. And of course, when we're in a greater state of joy and blessing, we attract more joy. We attract more blessing. So use this energy for the greater good. It is a house of gambling as well, I would add too. And for Sagittarius people, the 3rd of April could be very, very auspicious if you want to take a risk with something. You've got the sun is exalted in the 5th house here right now for you, Sagittarius people, and Mercury rules in your chart the 7th house and the 10th house. So you might get a suggestion from your partner or from a boss about a possible endeavor, risk-taking endeavor or opportunity to sort of do some sort of speculation that can really, really pay off and give dividends. You could get very lucky on this day, particularly through a suggestion from one of these people. Mercury rules those people in your chart, bosses, leadership, partners, and it's cazimi with the sun, exalted in the 5th house of luck, speculations that go well, prosperity that is, fortune. It's the house of fortune. So I don't usually recommend this, and of course it depends what your natal chart looks like, but why not buy a Tats Lotto ticket? On this day it could be very, very beneficial. Like I said, I don't usually tell people to go on, risk it all on the horses. And I'm certainly not saying go and put your life savings on something. But it is a lucky day for you. And you're a lucky sign, Sagittarius. So why not? Why not? Okay. For Capricorn rising sun or moon people, the energy of Mercury in its cazimi position is falling for you in the 4th house. So 4th house has to do with our core strength, not core as in your belly, which mine needs a lot of attention, but core as in our life foundation. This is the base house for the whole chart. Like it's often connected to our childhood and our parental influence. It is the foundation for who we are, 4th house. So to have Mercury cazimi here, it's giving some blessed amplification to the core of our life. Somebody might speak words to us that really solidify our sense of well-being emotionally. Somebody might uplift you. Mercury is words. Mercury is to speak. They might send you an email. They might send you a card. They might sort of say to you, I really appreciate you. You might be getting some words that go to your core foundation and help you, strengthen who you are in the world. It is also a house of safety and security and stability as well. And it's so through mercurial things you can be blessed with security and stability. So that might be, it could be something really special, like maybe you are writing for a magazine or something like that, or a blog or something, and you get offered, under Mercury cazimi energy in the fourth house, you get offered the chance to do. So I'm scratching my third eye, so I know this is a message for somebody. You get offered a position with the blog, I don't know, Mamma Mia or something like that. You get offered a position to write for them on a permanent basis. And so this writing becomes a source of, Mercury writing becomes a source of security and stability for you by providing some sort of income or regular work. It's not a house of work, but it is a house of security and stability through mercurial things that could manifest for you today that could be quite a blessing. So you might find that you're doing a lot more writing, communicating, speaking from home. You might even get an inspiration to start a home-based business under this blessed configuration. Some sort of uplifting kind of idea for, I could do this from home. And it might be something that you can do with your hands from home that could be very auspicious for you in the long-term future. Because not only is this conjunction an auspicious one, the sun is exalted in Aries, so it's highly empowered. And for you, it's falling in an angular house. So Capricorn, an angular house is a much more manifesting house when we get these sorts of things occurring there. So I am seeing, some people might get a small business idea. Some people might be creating a better home environment through this energy that's more empowered. You might start a garden. Mercury is to use your hands. You might go out there and start a garden. Fourth house is gardening, and it benefits you for the long term. You might actually, this is another blessed energy if you're looking to buy a property. This is Mercury has to do with contracts and agreements, and so this is a time for signing contracts and agreements concerning property, land development, maybe building a house or a home. If you have been in discussions about that sort of thing, of course, it all very much depends on your natal chart and what's going on there, but generally speaking, this is a very auspicious energy for signing a contract to do with a property or a land development of some sort, Capricorn. It's also the house of parenting and how we parent. And so it's a very good day for using your words beneficially in your family. If you're a parent, particularly, use your words, Mercury cazimi, to uplift your family today. And you might reap the rewards for that for a long time into the future. Maybe I used to do this for my children. While they're away at school, I'd write a little love note for my children and leave it on their pillow. So when they got home from, maybe with a little chocolate or something with it, and when they got home from school, there would be their little message of love and affirmation from mum in a written form with something yummy like a chocolate there for them. And, that has really, I have such a great relationship with all my 3 children. And I actually credit it to doing those sorts of things, taking that initiative when they were very little to build our relationship through verbal affirmations. And we know, if you're familiar with the 5 love languages, that words are a very powerful source of love. So Mercury is in the 4th house, exalted, or in an exaltation kind of energy with an exalted sun in Aries. It is a time for creating that sort of energy with your family, with your children now. Use words to create love in your children's lives. You will never, ever regret doing that. And this is the perfect day to really do that in every possible way you can. And it doesn't even have to be your children, can be partners, can be maternal figures as well. You know, leave a note under the windshield wiper of your spouse's car, just telling them you love them. You know, written words are very powerful for family members on this day, Capricorn. Spoken words too, but written words tend to last longer in the memory. Okay, Aquarius rising, sun or moon people, we are seeing the energy of Mercury in a Kesenya position with the sun falling in the 3rd house. Now, this is a house of restlessness and movement, and this could be very strong for you under this energy. Aries is a restless sign, and Mercury is a restless energy. Mercury is amplified through its conjunction with the sun. So you might be feeling like going for a country drive, or just getting out of town for a bit, or you know, taking a bike ride. Just moving is a good thing to do. Take a walk, take a bike ride, use your restlessness and enjoy that. You could get a lot of benefit from it. You might go for a country drive and wind up in a town that you've never been to before, and suddenly, you know, you meet somebody and they're like a kindred spirit. Oh my goodness, where have you been all my life? You know, good things can happen to us when we listen to these energies. This is also a house to do with interactions and social behavior, neighbors, siblings, teammates, and so forth are seen from the 3rd house. So good interactions, good communications can unfold with such people. If you need to have a conversation with your neighbor about something, this is the day to do it. It can pay off. It can benefit you. If you need to address something with a sibling or with a teammate, this is the day to do it, because the results are empowered and beneficial. This is also friendships that feel like siblings. So 11th house is a house of friendship, generally speaking, you know, but this is friendships where we feel like brother and sister. So if you've got friends that fit that bill, I do, I'm very blessed to have one dear friend who feels like my sister, then this is an energy for communicating and uplifting and blessing them. You know, you might be blessed by them on this day. Equally, you can be a blessing to them. In fact, look for ways to be a blessing to those sorts of friends under this energy. It could be that you write them a note. It could be that you know, you speak words of kindness. It could be that you do something like an act of service for them. Mercury rules the sign of Virgo, which is very much about helping people. So, or they help you. It can go either way. This is a house of small business, and Mercury rules small business. So there, for Aquarius people, this is an opportunity to be really blessed with a small business. If you're running a small business or a side hustle or something, then this is, you might see a flourishing of business affairs under this. And in fact, you can take action in that direction under this Kesenya position too. You know, you could maybe approach a new advertiser or a new marketer to help you with your small business, or get a bookkeeper to help you with your small business. These sorts of endeavors that are going to benefit your small business in the long run are good things to undertake under this blessed configuration. It's also a good day for trade and transactions. So you might find that there's an increase in, you know, your trade, in your transactions, in people placing orders with you for whatever it is that you provide, getting new clients, that sort of thing. It's a house that is very Mercury based. And so you might be writing more. You might be communicating more, speaking more. You might get some social speaking engagements. You might be doing more on social media. You might be, you know, it's a good day to buy a new device if you need a new computer, if you need a new iPhone. Sorry, I got a frog in my throat. It's a good day for going out and purchasing those kinds of tools that we need for our businesses and lives and for communicating with. It's also a house that has to do with being busy and just our busyness. So Mercury Kesenya here can see you extra busy, but you're going to cope with it fine. You're going to be all over that stuff. So if you're busy, you know that it's all under control. You've got what it takes under this energy to cope with all the running around. And finally, Pisces. Thank you, dear Pisces, for sticking with it to the end. And now we're looking at the energy of Mercury cazimi with the sun falling in your second house, the house of resources, the house of the stuff, the stuff that you need to succeed materially in life. And so when we've got a Mercury in a cazimi position with an empowered, exalted sun in Aries, it can mean that you might get resources. It can mean that this is a day for seeing good material results in your life. You know, you might get, if you're in a business, you might get more orders placed with you. That could be very beneficial, obviously. It could mean that maybe somebody mercurial, maybe a sister or a brother, or maybe a friend says, hey, I've got this old couch, and I noticed I've got a couch. I've noticed yours is getting old and worn. Do you want this couch? And you get material blessings from mercurial people, Mercury-ruled people, that can come your way. Mercury is also connected to, well, this is a house rather, connected to anything that we think is valuable. So this is a day where you might be putting a lot of value on, say, books, putting a lot of value on your magazines or your journals that you have access to, or your Audible subscription or something. You might these sorts of things might become very important to you on this day. You might actually be spending, buying, shopping mercurial things. You might be, heaven help me, I'm a Pisces and I have this book addiction that I cannot stop. You should see the piles of books that I have yet to read. It's just outrageous. So I can see myself going a bit bonkers on this day with buying more books. But not just books, but anything mercurial. You might buy an advertising subscription, or set up a Facebook ads page, because Mercury has to do with promotions and marketing and that sort of thing. You might buy a calligraphy set if you like writing, anything to do with the hands. You might buy some knitting needles to get back into the knitting, to use your hands for something. Cross stitch or leatherworking tools. You might be spending money on things that Mercury has rulership of, an association with, because you'll be valuing those things more. Mercury is also our mind, what we think. And so in the house of what we value and the house of self-worth, it's very important to address what you think about yourself. And Pisces, if you need to change your thinking habits about yourself and about your life, do it under this energy, because it's going to be blessed by the gods. Ask for help from the gods, from the king of the solar system, to change your mental narrative around who you are and what you're worthy of, Pisces. Pisces, it's a very good thing for Pisces, actually, because Pisces people can tend to put themselves last and put other people first. And that's a mental narrative. If you feel like, other people should come before me, that's a mental narrative that many Pisces people need to change in order to have a successful life in this competitive old world that we live in. So use this energy to perhaps write down some affirmations, stick them all over your mirror, or, all around the house, to help you change your mental narrative to one of self-worth and self-value, and putting the self forward, putting the self first, instead of taking the back seat all the time, Pisces. Use this energy. Write those affirmations, stick them all over the house, and leave them there for the long term, because you've instigated it under this beneficial energy. Thumbs up. It's going to help you in the long run for sure. This is our attitude towards money as well. So what your mental narrative, the second house is our attitude towards money, and your mental narrative towards money can be blessed under this energy. So use this, Pisces, use this energy to change your mental narrative about money and what you deserve materially in the world. Not only your sense of value, but what you deserve. Because, sometimes we float along, Pisces people, quite a lot, and just take whatever comes. And in doing that, perhaps we aren't sort of putting ourselves out there the way so many other signs do. And so we miss out on material blessing sometimes because of that. But I want to ask you, Pisces people, embrace your go-getter Aries energy in order to create material blessing for yourself. Aries is your second house. You've got to have an Aries attitude about money in order to make it, Pisces people. So change your mental narrative under this supported energy of Mercury Cazimi. Change your mental narrative to one that says, I'm putting myself first when it comes to making money. I'm putting myself first when it comes to creating material prosperity in my life. I'm going to be entrepreneurial. I'm going to be a go-getter. Try to generate an Aries mental attitude towards making money under this energy on the 3rd of April. You will be blessed for doing that, and you will see the money almost instantaneously start to flourish and blossom and manifest more in your life by simply changing your mental narrative to a supportive one, a go-getter one, instigatory one under this particular energy. So I want to thank you all very much for sticking with me for this breakdown of the energy for the week ahead. Thank you for joining me each week. I love doing these readings. I'm so glad that you all enjoy them, and I look forward to having another video for you next week that hopefully will be a blessing for you as well. God bless.